he did nothing wrong and that widespread election fraud did in fact take place, a claim his team denies.
You have a very receptive audience in terms of those 45 Republican senators that joined Senator Paul in voting that this whole proceeding was unconstitutional because Trump is no longer in office. They were getting briefings from constitutional law professors throughout the country. So this is a clear path to victory for President Trump. And this is what his attorneys wanted to argue. And then instead he wants to go in this completely different direction, and really a direction that's been shot down about 60 times by different courts throughout the country. So it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense from a legal strategy.
David Schoen focuses on complex litigation and was part of a team representing former Trump advisor Roger Stone. Stone was convicted in 2019 of lying to Congress in connection with his efforts during the 2016 Trump presidential campaign. Bruce Castor is a former Montgomery County, Pennsylvania district attorney, best known for declining to prosecute Bill Cosby on assault charges in 2005. A new DA convicted Cosby of similar charges in 2018. It is unclear what direction his new defense team will take.
Even if there was widespread election fraud, even if Trump were correct that this election were stolen from him, all these allegations, they are not a legal defense to inciting an insurrection. An election can be stolen from you, but you cannot instruct your supporters to attack the Capitol, period.
Trump has had trouble finding lawyers to represent him. His former team, led by Alan Dershowitz, declined. Personal attorney Rudy Giuliani is sitting it out, citing his presence at the pre-riot rally could make him a witness.
Let's have trial by combat.
In order to convict Trump, the Senate will need at least 17 Republicans to vote with all the Democrats.
All right, Court TV anchor Michael Ayala joins us now. Michael, can you tell us a little bit more about these two attorneys and their approach and what we might be able to expect in our gavel-to-gavel coverage?
All right, Vinny, before we get to that, I want to mention this. Butch Bowers and some of the other members of the Trump team had some controversies brought up in the recent days, and it turns out Bowers was found to have a $400,000 lien on his property, which he says has been resolved. And another lawyer had some issues with using some racially insensitive language in dismissing jurors in a 1989 case in South Carolina. So that could have been the reason for the exodus. We don't know. Now, we are just a week away regardless, and Trump's team has to file their briefs on February 8th. And the new guys, well, they're kind of interesting choices. Bruce Castor is a Republican who viewers may remember from his decision not to charge Cosby in that 2005 case. He ended up losing his 2015 re-election bid for the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office, largely because his opponent ran incessant ads about his decision not to charge Cosby. And during the campaign, the victim in the case decided to sue him for defamation. So Castor sued her back after the election for personal injury and $50,000 in damages, claiming that she only sued him for political purposes. So he has that in common with Trump, not taking an election loss very easily. And as for David Schoen, well, he has represented Trump cronies and has made the news more recently for getting involved in the Jeffrey Epstein case, saying he thinks Epstein was murdered. And he has also dealt with a number of constitutional issues throughout his career. And he has actually come out and said that he is inclined to argue the constitutionality of the proceeding. But if Trump does force his new team to go in the direction of arguing widespread election fraud, he could be barred from presenting that evidence. The arguments have been rejected over and over in courts around the country. But remember, Senator Patrick Leahy, a Democrat, is presiding judge in the impeachment hearing. So denying the president the election argument could cause problems with public perception. So here's what Neama Rahmani had to say about that.
Senator Leahy, as the president of the Senate, and in this case, he's going to oversee the proceedings because it's not an impeachment of a sitting president, right? Otherwise, it would be the Chief Justice. So, I mean, this type of evidence is completely irrelevant, has nothing to do with the allegations here. And both the Democrats and the president of the Senate, Senator Leahy, should exclude all this. Again, this is all political theater, has nothing to do with the evidence that the House managers are going to be presenting to the Senate. There will be political fallout, no question. You already have Senators Cruz, Hawley, that have already suggested that the election was rigged, that the electoral college certification should not have happened. You're going to be relitigating this whole issue that really caused the Capitol attacks in the first place. So I expect these allegations to come up, but I also expect and hope that those running this, whether it's Leahy or the managers, they really hold that line. And really, frankly, right now, the president's own attorneys don't even want to litigate this issue because they know it's a loser, at least from a legal perspective, although it will certainly play to those political constituents that want to continue to believe that this election was stolen.